A love story that once ended at the top of a fire escape is about to open its doors again, but this time, the past doesn't stay quiet. It rises, louder than ever, pulling two people back into the kind of truth they once tried to outrun. It begins with a slow return to a place that feels familiar, even after so many years. The streets of Beverly Hills look softer than before, touched by the early morning light that washes everything in gold. The world seems calm on the outside, but something unspoken hangs in the air, something waiting to come alive again. There is a quiet sense of memory here, as if the city itself remembers what happened decades ago. The unexpected meeting. The unlikely connection. The way two very different people changed each other's lives without planning to. Time has moved forward, but the echo of their story has never fully faded. And today it stirs gently, like a whisper returning on the wind. Shops are still closed, their glass windows reflecting the long stretch of the avenue. A soft breeze touches the edges of a fashion boutique's display, where a mannequin in a simple dress stands facing the empty street. The silence is peaceful, yet layered with something deeper: nostalgia, mixed with the sense that something new is about to begin. It feels like a moment right before the first page of a new chapter turns, almost as if the city is holding its breath. Amid this quiet beauty, signs of time passing become impossible to ignore. The buildings look the same, but somehow older, wiser, textured with the stories they've seen. The familiar corners where dreams were once born now stand like silent witnesses. A hotel sign glows faintly even in the morning light, reminding us of promises once made and choices once faced. There is no rush, no noise, only a gentle reminder that the past never fully disappears. It only waits for the right moment to step forward again. As the world continues in its slow rhythm, memories begin to rise like soft waves. They aren't loud or sharp. They are warm, touched by laughter, surprise, and the kind of connection that doesn't break just because time passes. Somewhere in this city, one heart beats with a hint of curiosity, and another with a hint of longing. They don't know it yet, but they are being drawn back toward the same place where everything changed all those years ago. This is where possibility begins again. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a gentle reminder that love stories don't always stay in the past. Sometimes they return when the world is finally ready for them. And today, Beverly Hills feels like it is waking up to something it once knew very well, that the paths of two people, once separated, may be about to cross again in ways neither of them expects. She steps into the light the way a memory steps back into a mind, slowly at first, then all at once, impossible to ignore. Her walk is calm, steady, and full of quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need attention to feel powerful. Time has shaped her, softened some edges, sharpened others, but there is still something unmistakable about her presence. Even without seeing her face, you can feel the warmth she carries, the fire she learned to protect, and the courage she earned through every choice she made. Her story did not stop all those years ago, it simply grew in silence. Her day begins in a small but beautiful workspace she built for herself. Morning light touches the shelves filled with designs, sketches, and little reminders of the journey she took from the streets she once walked to the life she has now created. She built a name for herself in a world that once closed its doors to her. Each dress she designs carries a piece of her past, stitched with the belief that anyone can rewrite their story if they're brave enough. Even now, she touches a fabric sample with slow care, as if it holds memories she is trying to understand and feelings she isn't ready to name. Despite her success, something in her heart remains unsettled. Some days she laughs without fear. Other days she feels a small emptiness she can't explain. It isn't sadness. It's something different, something like an unfinished sentence she left behind long ago. She has friends, a career she loves, and a life she built from the ground up. But there are quiet moments, often in the soft hours of morning, when she pauses, almost expecting a voice she once knew to fill the silence. She never says this out loud, but some memories refuse to fade, no matter how much time passes. As she walks through her studio, her hand brushes over a charm bracelet lying on the table. The metal glimmers for a second, catching a ray of sunlight, and she freezes. It's the same bracelet she got on a day that changed everything. She keeps it tucked away most of the time, hidden in drawers or boxes, but never too far. Today she doesn't know why she pulled it out, but she can't bring herself to put it back. Maybe it's the feeling she woke with, that strange pull in the air. That whisper from somewhere deep inside telling her that things are shifting around her in ways she can't see yet. She steps outside into the fresh air, the city humming quietly around her. Her hair moves gently with the breeze, her coat sways with her steps, and for a moment she closes her eyes. Something feels familiar, an energy she hasn't felt in years. She doesn't know what it means, but she knows it's real. Her instinct has always been her guide, and it has never been this loud before. It's as if the universe is trying to tell her that the past is making its way back, not to haunt her, but to offer something she thought she had already left behind. Vivian walks forward, unaware that the path she's taking today will lead her closer to a moment she isn't prepared for. A moment she hasn't imagined in a long time. A moment where everything she rebuilt, everything she became, will be challenged, not by conflict or trouble, but by a feeling she once believed she could never return to. And as the city around her grows brighter, one truth becomes clear. Her story is about to open a door she thought was closed forever. He enters the story the way a storm enters a quiet skynet suddenly, but with a gathering presence that can't be ignored. His world looks polished, organized, and controlled. Yet beneath the surface lies a man who has spent years searching for something he could never quite name. His suits are still perfect, his steps still confident, but the sharpness he once carried has softened. He has changed in ways only time can shape, in ways only regret can teach. His life is successful, impressive, even admirable, but there are corners of his heart that remain untouched. Untouched because no one after her was ever able to reach them. His morning begins in a tall, glass office overlooking the city. Papers are neatly stacked, digital screens glow with numbers and plans, and everything is in its proper place. Yet he stands by the window, staring not at his work, but at the horizon. It is the same habit he formed years ago, the same silent search for meaning he never confessed to anyone. He has built companies, advised leaders, and created opportunities for others. But none of it has ever filled that quiet space inside him that still wonders about the one thing he walked away from when he didn't know how to stay. He adjusts his cufflinks, but his hands pause, almost hesitating. On his desk rests a small, worn envelope. It doesn't belong to the sleek office around it. It doesn't belong to the present moment. It belongs to a memory he tried to put away long ago. The handwriting on it is familiar, surprisingly familiar. He hasn't opened it yet, not because he doesn't want to, but because he knows the moment he does, something in his world will shift. He has spent too long keeping his life in perfect order, and this small envelope threatens to move everything out of place. His assistant enters briefly, asking about meetings and schedules, but he barely hears her. His mind is elsewhere, drifting through moments he thought were buried. The sound of laughter, the rush of surprise, the warmth of a connection he didn't expect, all of it returns in quiet flashes that make him tighten his grip on the desk. He has lived a good life, but not a full one. Not truly. People around him admire his discipline, his calm decision-making, his ability to stay detached. But they don't know that detachment became his shield the day he watched something real slip away. Finally, after what feels like a long internal battle, he picks up the envelope. The paper feels fragile, like it has been waiting patiently for him. He doesn't open it yet, he only holds it, staring at it as if the answers he has avoided all these years are hidden inside. Something about today feels different. Something in the air reminds him of a time when he wasn't so cautious. When he believed in unexpected chances. When he believed that love could rewrite even the most careful plans. He leaves his office and steps into the sunlight. The city greets him with its usual energy, but he senses something else, something softer, something familiar. He walks slower than usual, his mind deep in thoughts he never lets surface. Every step feels like a pull toward a past he never faced properly. He doesn't know it yet, but the world around him is starting to shift in the same direction as hers, as if fate, after years of silence, has decided that the two of them have stayed apart long enough. Edward moves forward, unaware that the person he once loved is walking her own path not far away, unaware that the choices they made years ago are weaving themselves back into a new moment, a moment that will test him, challenge him, and force him to answer the question he has avoided for most of his life. What if the best thing he ever had was the one thing he let go? It happens in the kind of moment that feels too small to matter, yet becomes the turning point of an entire story. Not with drama, not with noise, but with a quiet shift, like the world taking a breath before revealing something it has been hiding for years. Vivian and Edward move through their day, unaware that fate has begun stitching their paths together again, thread by thread, detail by detail, until the distance between them starts to disappear. It begins with a simple letter. The same envelope Edward held all morning finally gives in to the pressure of his fingers. He opens it slowly, almost afraid of what it might say. Inside, he finds only a short message. written in handwriting he hasn't seen since their lives moved in different directions. The message is not emotional, not dramatic, it is almost practical. Yet it carries a weight he cannot ignore. It mentions a charity event, the kind they once dreamed of supporting together. The kind that holds memories of promises whispered under soft city lights. It also carries a name he knows well, a place he once stood with her. A place where everything fragile between them first became real. He reads it again. Then again, unsure why his chest feels tight. The message doesn't ask him to come. It simply informs him. But something in its simplicity feels like an invitation not written in words, but in time itself. He sets the letter on his desk, but it feels like it refuses to stay still, like it is pulling at him. The years between then and now suddenly shrink, and he finds himself wondering if this moment is the one he unconsciously waited for. Meanwhile, Vivian stands in the lobby of the old Hotel Yi. That hotel, the one that saw their first real conversation, their first step toward something unexpected. She's here for work, helping with the preparations for the same charity event mentioned in the letter. She didn't plan to be here. She didn't expect the familiar setting to make her heart beat faster than she wanted it to. She tries to focus on her task, speaking to organizers, reviewing details, adjusting things with her calm and capable hands. Yet every corner she turns, every hallway she passes through, seems to whisper stories she thought were long settled. She tries to dismiss the strange feeling rising inside her, but it lingers, a sense of something unfinished, something she thought she had outgrown. She tells herself it's just nostalgia, nothing more, but deep down she knows that nostalgia doesn't feel this alive. It doesn't tug at her chest the way this place does. She glances toward the elevator, remembering a moment that changed her life forever, and quickly looks away as if the memory might follow her if she stares too long. Across the city, Edward makes a decision he can't explain. Logic doesn't guide him. Habit doesn't push him. Instead, it's a quiet force, a feeling he hasn't allowed himself to listen to in years. As he steps out of his car at the hotel later that afternoon, the air feels strangely familiar. His steps slow, his heartbeat grows heavy. And for a moment he stands completely still, unsure if he's ready for whatever waits inside. He almost turns back, but something stronger pushes him forward. Something telling him that this moment, long delayed, is finally ready to happen. Vivian, still organizing details, senses a change in the atmosphere. She can't explain why she pauses or why her breath catches for a brief second. She doesn't see him yet, doesn't hear him, but something inside her stirs a quiet warning, or maybe a quiet hope. She moves toward the lobby with the feeling that something important is approaching, something she isn't prepared for yet, finds herself unable to avoid. Edward steps into the lobby, and the world around him seems to quiet, not in reality, but inside him. He sees the familiar staircase, the warm lights, the polished floors, and with each step forward, he feels closer to a moment he believed would never come. Vivian turns the corner at the same time, unaware that the next few steps will change the shape of her life once again. Their paths are no longer separate, not after this. The hours of this day, the decisions they made unknowingly, the pull of memory and fate whole of it has led them here. And now, only a few breaths stand between them and a meeting that will reopen everything they once locked away. The first moment their eyes meet does not explode like a scene from a movie. It lands quietly, softly, almost too gently for two people who once changed each other's lives. It feels like the world pauses, not enough to stop, but enough to make everything inside them shift. Vivian halts mid-step, her breath caught between her ribs, as if her mind is trying to accept something her heart recognized long before her eyes did. Edward feels the same shock, a sudden rush of old emotions he spent years hiding under layers of control. But neither of them moves, neither of them speaks. They simply stand there, facing the one person they tried so hard to move on from. Vivian looks away first, not out of anger, but because the weight of the moment hits her harder than she expected. She tries to steady herself, tries to remember the life she built, the strength she earned. She tells herself she doesn't owe him anything, not even a second of attention. But her body betrays her, her hands trembling, the slightest bit, her heart racing in a way she doesn't want to admit. She learned to walk away from difficult feelings long ago, yet here they are again, stronger than before. It's as if all the distance she put between them evaporates the moment she sees him. Edward tries to step forward, but his feet hesitate. He wants to say her name, but he fears his voice will reveal more than he wants it to. He tries to collect himself like he always does in business meetings. But this isn't business, and she isn't someone he can negotiate with. She is the one chapter of his life that never closed properly. the one decision he never fully understood. And now, facing her again, he feels the weight of every missed chance pressing against his chest, reminding him of the man he used to be and the man he became after losing her. Vivian forces herself to remain calm. She walks toward the event hall, hoping distance will help her breathe, but the air seems heavier now. Every step feels like she's walking through a memory she didn't ask to relive. She can sense Edward behind her, not following, but standing still, trapped in the same storm she is trying to escape. She wants to be angry, but she isn't. She wants to feel nothing, but she feels everything. And that is what scares her most, that after all these years, he still has the power to shake her without saying a single word. When she finally reaches a quiet corner, she closes her eyes and leans against a wall. The memories come back in waves. Their rooftop laughter, the nights filled with unexpected honesty. The moment she realized she mattered to someone who didn't understand how to show love. She had forgiven him long ago, but forgiveness doesn't erase the marks left behind. She whispers to herself that this moment means nothing, that they're both older, different, wiser. Yet her heart refuses to believe the lie fully. Edward eventually gathers the courage to move. He follows the hallway, not to chase her, but to understand what he should do. When he finds her not close, not touching, but standing several steps away, he stops again. There is fear in his silence. Fear that he will ruin things with the wrong words. Fear that she will walk away before he can say anything at all. For years, he convinced himself that she was better off without him. But standing here now, he realizes he never asked himself if he was better off without her. And the answer is painfully clear. Their eyes meet again, but this time there is no shock, only emotion, too strong to hide. Vivian looks like she wants to protect herself, and Edward looks like he wants to apologize without knowing how. The distance between them feels thin, fragile, like it could break with one breath. Neither of them moves, because both are terrified of what might happen if they do. And yet, neither walks away, which says more than any words could. In this quiet hallway, surrounded by the echoes of their past, something unspoken begins to rise, something they both kept buried. Not anger, not regret, but a question they had avoided for decades. What if their story was never meant to end where they left it?